When it comes to being iconic, the Akatsuki from Naruto are without question one of the most well-known villain groups in all of anime and manga, an organization of dangerous criminals in the wide world of Naruto, capturing some of the strongest creatures in the verse with the majority of just two-man teams is actually really cool to me, and since I've already done plenty of Naruto and One Piece matchups in the past, I figured it would be cool to see if each Akatsuki duo has what it takes to capture the world's strongest creature from One Piece if given a fair shot. Thanks for clicking on the video, and if you like what you see, then by all means check out the other videos I have on the channel and subscribe for more content in the future. Now let's go ahead and lay out the rules for this matchup. Alright, so for this video, I think it's incredibly important to actually listen to what I'm saying before you start typing in the comments and look silly later. Again, this video is to see if the Akatsuki duos could capture Kaido if they have a fair shot. Rule 1, we are solely using Dragon Kaido for our quote-unquote Biju for the battle. Rule 2, we are only going to be using duos from the Akatsuki, aka I'm leaving Obito and Zetsu out of it. For this video, I mainly want to focus on the abilities of Deidara and Sasori, Hidan and Kakuzu, Itachi and Kisame, and the passive pain with Konan support. Rule 3, we are making Kaido have the same properties as a Biju from Naruto, meaning he's a being of literal chakra. Rule 4, this is the big one. We are augmenting Kaido's speed. A lot of the Akatsuki members simply don't have light speed scaling. Not trying to downplay them, it's just a fact going by the Raikage statement of his version 1 lariat approaching the speed of light. To be blunt, Hidan is Hidan, Kisame literally got bits by the lariat, Deidara was going extreme diff against a weaker version of Sasuke. I could go on, but I think my point's been made very clear. A lot of these guys aren't in the higher tiers of speed in the Narutoverse. As such, Kaido's speed will be augmented to pose a challenge for the duos he's facing, but not his canon speed. Otherwise, he blitzes a lot of these guys outright given the speed scaling of One Piece. If you want to learn more about that, check out my older speed scaling video. I think it's a pretty good summary for how to interpret One Piece speed, and that pretty much sums up everything. So let's go ahead and look at our first duo for the match. Now, when it comes to the artist duo of Deidara and Sasori, the fight to capture Kaido is going to be extremely hard to say the least, and in my opinion, I believe Deidara's loadout is going to be doing the heavy lifting. This isn't really shade to Sasori, but Dragon Kaido literally hard counters a large chunk of his arsenal. Sasori's puppet manipulation heavily relies upon being able to poison his opponents with the various weapons he has built into his puppets. The problem is that it's incredibly hard to justify Sasori being able to pierce through or slash through Kaido's scales. To put things in perspective, at the beginning of the Battle of Roof Piece during the raid of Onigashima, Zoro and Killer both were unable to even cut Kaido's normal skin. Zoro, even at this particular point of the battle, is one of the most proficient swordsmen in the series, and Killer isn't a slouch either. Kaido's durability only increases in his dragon form, so any hope of piercing or slicing through to poison him, given Sasori's feats, seems like a stretch. Sasori is left essentially with poison gas, which could be effective if Kaido were to breathe it in. Problem is though, is that Kaido could literally blow away any poisonous gas with the literal twisters he could instantly summon. In Deidara's corner, his regular bombs simply don't have the potency to realistically damage Kaido to the point he's weak enough to capture. Sasuke literally was able to block one of the bombs launched at him with his Curse Spark wings. Deidara could use his C4 Kurara bomb, which are super tiny bombs invisible to the naked eye that destroy any living being within its range. Problem is though, is that the range from the attack is very obvious if you can perceive the bombs. Sasuke used his Sharingan to see the bombs coming his way. There's nothing stopping Kaido from using basic observation haki and seeing the nanoscopic bombs coming his way. And there's nothing stopping him from simply flying away to a safe distance, or again, like with Sasori, blowing them away. Deidara could always rage quit and launch his C0 bomb. Whether you think this attack is strong enough to actually knock out Kaido is debatable depending on how strong you think the explosion is, but in my opinion, Kaido has taken attacks with more potency while in his dragon form, allowing for him to take the attack, and at this point, Sasori and his 100 puppets would be left alone with the guy who hard counters his arsenal, making the artist duo's prospects of victory pretty null and void. And now we have the immortal duo of Kakuzu and Hidan. And I'm not gonna hold y'all, man. This fight is basically a 1v1 between Kaido and Kakuzu. Hidan genuinely just sucks overall, and his only saving grace is his immortality and ritual technique. He flat out states his attack speed and aim is the worst amongst the Akatsuki. His range is extremely limited to how far the wire attached to his blade can extend. He could get up close and personal and try to jump up and attack Kaido, but as we said in our previous section, Kaido's skills are just way too durable for him to cut, and without any means of getting his ritual started, not having his opponent's blood to drink, Hidan is just a sitting duck. Trying to jump at Kaido would literally leave him either incinerated or cut to pieces, and hey, it's not like that's what literally happened to him against Shikamaru. Now when looking at Kakuzu, it's pretty tough for him to last long in this fight because a lot of his attacks scale way lower than the attacks Kaido has been able to endure. All Kaido really has to do is just destroy the mask he has in his possession, and whether it's from a blast breath, the wind blades from his demolition breath, or simply just destroying them physically, none of that is above Kaido's pay grade. Unfortunately, due to having a terrible teammate, Kakuzu's raw durability isn't going to be enough to let him capture the world's strongest creature. Also, if you got that joke, pat yourself on the back. And now we have Itachi and Kisame, the duo that introduced us to the Akatsuki in the first place. And yeah, man, not gonna sugarcoat it, Kaido has no hope of winning this round. Itachi is just a giant hacks god. We know that powerful Mangekyo Sharingan Genjutsu is strong enough to control the Biju. We've seen it happen on multiple occasions to the Biju. Itachi having the Tsukuyomi is just an auto win, unironically, because it's just that busted of an ability. Now let me be very clear though, in theory, Kaido could just close his eyes and use observation haki to fight. Kabuto literally just used a hood to cover his eyes and shut off his eyesight to avoid getting caught in the Genjutsu, so that is 100% an option. However, it's not like Kaido is going to know that information from a random encounter with two foreign opponents. Most of the time when Itachi is around, someone who already knows how his powers work will tell anyone who doesn't to not look directly at his eyes. Kaido is fighting solo in this scenario. Furthermore, we know Kisame via Samehada can absorb large amounts of chakra, seeing as he absorbed most of the 8 Tails chakra during his fight with Killer Bee. Absorbing chakra this way also doesn't need direct contact, so unlike in our 2 previous sections, the toughness of Kaido's scales doesn't matter. So Kaido literally could get laid out by Tsukuyomi and then be drained of his energy via Samehada. It's genuinely that simple. Even with the high chakra cost Tsukuyomi requires from Itachi, he literally just needs to land it once and his opponent is immediately subdued, and while Itachi is reeling from the chakra drain, Kisame goes in and steals away Kaido's energy. I don't know what else to say. Tsukuyomi has been relevant since its introduction. Kaido gets captured by these guys. Only way he survives this encounter is if I give him the knowledge of how Itachi's MS works, but that's not really fair if we're using a random encounter. And for our last pairing is Pain and Konan, and I say pairing loosely simply because there are 6 paths of Pain, as we're all well aware, and I think this fight really comes down to the Deva path. The animal path summons are getting bodied by Kaido in the sky or on land. Not only are they not as big as Kaido himself, but they lost the Sage Toads. Literally, Kaido could just swallow the animal path and blow them up with blast breaths just like how he did to Luffy. It would be similar to how Naruto took it out as well. The Ashura path can be broken from powerful blows, and if you're physically stronger than the Preta path, their ninjutsu absorption is meaningless. The rest could literally get blown away by Kaido's wind blades or blast breath. The Deva path, however, via Shinra Tensei could probably tank those attacks, similarly with how he did against Naruto. And with Konan there, she could offer aid in order to keep the two of them alive, but honestly, it's just a stopgap measure, all things considered. Now we see that Naruto with 6 active tails in his V2 cloak was able to resist Shinra Tensei outright. Pain was also basically pushed so far by Naruto with 6 tails that he pulled out the Chibaku Tensei to try and capture him, but again, that still isn't enough since Naruto just from almost transforming into the full 9 tails was able to bust out of the jutsu. Kaido's blast breath literally shot through all of Onigashima without any resistance, so saying he wouldn't be able to blast his way out of Chibaku Tensei is a little silly in my opinion. Now we know that the Deva path could increase the coverage of the jutsu, but it's requiring a large amount of chakra to do all this. We see Nagato reeling after Naruto busts out of the jutsu as well, so it just shows the amount of energy drain. And the 5-second recharge time for the Deva path to recharge his jutsu is also pretty bad since Kaido can spam air blades and twisters continuously. Naruto defeated the Deva path literally by rushing him non-stop to the point he couldn't defend himself because he was in the middle of his cooldown. And Konan is such a non-factor in this fight. Even if we gave her the 600 billion paper bombs, Kaido literally can just fly above it. Not to mention, it takes a large amount of chakra on her end just to pull the technique off in the first place. She gets negged badly either alone or by trying to keep the Deva path alive. Regardless, she isn't doing anything beyond that. And that about wraps things up, making Kaido being able to take out 3 of the 4 teams that came after him. Itachi and Kisame are just a really powerful combination together. Don't blame me, blame Kishimoto for crafting one of the strongest hacks abilities in all of Naruto. And with all that being said, I appreciate y'all clicking on this video. As I said earlier, if you enjoyed this, then consider subscribing and checking out the other videos I have on the channel while waiting for new content. I hope you all have a good day and please stay safe. Peace.